Hello, students. Good morning. Today, with this file, we will try to understand how to draw tree diagram for IC analysis. So, let us start. Here are some step-by-step instructions on how to analyze sentences and then draw a tree of them. Notice that before you start drawing, you should analyze the structure of the sentence. You are much more like to draw it correctly that way. So this video is little bit longer, but yes, here we are going to discuss in detail. First step. What's the step 1? Identify the main verb. So that should be the first step, that as you read the sentence, first of all you have to find out the main verb. Don't get distracted by auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs, that's a has, been, be, etc. In the sentence in one, the main verbs are bolded. So here in bold letters, main verbs are given. Notice that in 1a, have is a main verb. Yes, that's very important. That's a have is main verb, not auxiliary here. So we have to acknowledge main verb. Here, have is actually main verb and have is auxiliary also. How? I give you another example. I have submitted my project. Here, submit is the main verb and have is used as a supporting or auxiliary verb. But if I say that I have my lunch, so here first have is auxiliary and another have is main verb. So in this way, in first sentence A, this have is main verb. While in 1D, 1E, 1F, it is an auxiliary verb. Let us see. D, E, F. Okay. So D, E, F here, D, here main verb. This is auxiliary, auxiliary and auxiliary. How? I tell you. Because you have seen. So here have is used for present tense and seen is the main verb. And that is why have is auxiliary. Right? In that next case here, same, you have seen. So have you seen? However, this is have is used for question, but that is question is framed with auxiliary and that is main verb is seen. That's a main verb, right? Okay. Now next is what have you seen? So here also seen is the main verb and have is the helping verb. This is the main verb. Okay. Now, so very good. Now, first of all, first thing whenever we uh, make tree diagram, first of all we have to identify the main verb in the sentence. Okay. Now, second step. Step 2. Step 2 is find the subject of the each verb. Subject of the each verb. The subject will usually be right before the verb. Right? So subject is generally right before the verb. Okay. So that is or the auxiliary verb. It will trigger subject verb agreement and it is often the one doing the action, but not always. you can stick a question word, who, what, whose, whom, right, before the verb. And the answer to the question will be the subject. For example, who has a green spaceship? I do. Or what surprised my sister? That aliens exist. So, second step is that you have to find out the subject of each verb, right? How? The subject will usually be right before the verb. So, please take a note that subject be right usually. Exceptions are everywhere, but subject is usually right before the verb. So here this is the verb, right? Here that's a right. Here that's a right, right? So this way subject is usually right. Okay. So now it will trigger subject verb agreement. And what's the subject verb agreement? Sorry, subject verb agreement is I plus have. This is subject verb agreement. I have. Okay. Now, here for this video, you have to have patience because this is little bit deep discussion we are going to do. So, okay. Now, it is often the one doing the action, but not always. Sometimes there is no action. You can stick a question if you want to need uh, subject, if you want to figure out the subject, so then you can put question, who or what before the verb, right? And the answer of the question will be the subject. For example, who has a green ship? So I have a green ship. I, answer is I. Or what surprised my sister? So I think that aliens exist, right? So what surprised my sister? That alien exists. This is the answer. So let us see. I have a green spaceship. So that's the subject of have is I. I have a green spaceship. So this is the subject I. The subject of think. Think is a verb, right? In next sentence. Here, the subject of think is the verb, right? Is I, this is the subject, is I, and the subject of exists, this is another verb, is aliens. Okay, in third sentence, the subject of exists is aliens. The subject of exists, here first of all verb, right? This is aliens. And the subject of surprised, surprised that aliens exist. So here in third sentence, the subject of exist is aliens and the subject of surprise is that alien exists. Right? So this is little bit different. The subject of exists is aliens and the subject of surprised, that is, that's a verb, na? This is verb, this is verb. So that's a surprise is that aliens exist. So here I tell you in little detail. Wait for some time. Now the subject of have seen is you, right? Have seen is the verb. This is the helping verb. This is the main verb, and subject of helping verb, that's a you, is the subject. Okay. Now next, have you seen an alien? So the subject of have seen is you. The same. The subject is have, that's a helping verb. Why it is in the beginning? Because this is a question. So that is why. And this is a main verb. And have seen, and subject is you. That's a subject. Okay. Now what have you seen? The subject of have seen is you again. So that's a have you seen. This is, question starts with what, that's why you comes in between. But this is the subject, and this is helping verb, and this is main verb. Okay. So that will be the subject is the, find out the subject is first second step. First step, you have to find out the main verb. Number two, subject, you have to find out the subject of the verb, subject of the verb, right? Each verb, suppose number of verbs, so you have to find out subject of verb. Now moving to third step, that's a identify the clauses of the sentence. That's a very important, identify the clauses, sorry, identify the clauses of the sentence. So that's a clauses of the sentence is very important. How clauses? There will be one clause for each main verb. Important. In a sentence, there will be one clause for each main verb, right? But not auxiliary. I have put brackets around each clause in 3. Notice that main clause include the embedded clause. Embedded clauses can be the object of the verb. Important. Embedded clauses can be the object of the verb, as in third B, or the subject of the verb. It can be object or subject of the verb. Either object or subject of the verb. How? We'll see. I have a green spaceship. So here what we are going to find out? Clauses, right? So one clause for each main verb. That is important, but not auxiliary for main verb. So there will be one clause for each main verb. So here what he is saying, I have put brackets around each clause. So this is the clause. In 3, and what he is saying, notice that main clause include the embedded clause, means attached clause. So main clause, one main clause, and others are attached clauses, maybe attached clauses, right? So that is when we discuss narration sometime, or we discuss conditional sentences, right? So we find that, so there will be one main clause, and which is called dependent clause, independent clause, and others are dependent clause, which are dependent on the independent clause. So similarly, he's talking about, notice that the main clause include the embedded clauses, number of one clause or number of clauses. Embedded clauses can be the object of the verb. So that will be either object of the verb or subject of the verb. How? Let us see. I think. So I think is the main clause. That's the main clause. And that alien exists, that is embedded clause. This is embedded clause, right? Embedded clause. So now main clause and embedded, which is called, you must have heard, that's a main clause and subordinate clause, right? So main clause is independent clause, this clause is independent clause, and this clause is dependent clause. This is dependent clause. This is independent, this is dependent. So here I think, right? So third B, the subject of the verb is what they say that in embedded clauses can be the object of the verb as in third B. So what's the object of the verb? I think, and this is whole, acts as object of the verb. Object of the verb. Verb is think. So this is object of the verb. You know that the common structure is subject plus verb plus object. So what the subject? Subject is, this is the subject, this is the verb, and this is whole part is object. This way. Okay. Now, or the subject of the verb as in third C. So we'll see third C. Third C is that alien exists. Right. So that alien exists. Sorry. That alien exists here. This is the subject, right? And this is the object. See what they are saying, that they are saying the same, or the subject of the verb as in third C. So subject of the verb, right? So here what's the subject of the verb? This is the surprise is the main verb here, right? Main verb. And this whole part is subject, and this part is object. This way. Okay, little bit tough, but when we do practice, gradually every confusion will remove and your mind will open, right? Okay. Now next is you have seen. So seen is the main main verb. You have, and you is, that's a have is helping verb, and that's a subject. What? An alien. So that is, an alien is object. With a telescope is modifiers, we can say, right? Okay. Have you seen an alien? This is a question, but yes, have and seen are the main. Have is helping verb, seen is main verb, and you is subject, and alien is object. That's a object. Okay. Now, what have you seen? So here question, what have you seen? Answer is not given here, but that's a have you seen. So that is question, sorry, subject and verb. And question start with W. So here no object. But in third step, what did we do? We have identify the clauses of the sentence. That should be the third step. Identify the clauses of the sentence. Okay. So we have identified the clauses. That's a independent clause and dependent clause. Independent clause is the main clause, and dependent clauses, one, maybe one, two, we are known as embedded clause. These are the embedded, right? Embedded clause. Here you can say embedded clause. This is called embedded, or this is main clause. That's the attached clauses, right? That is dependent and that is independent. Okay. Moving to fourth step. Fourth step is classify each clause. Now we have to classify, that is identify. Now you have to classify the each clause. Okay. For each clause, identify whether it is question or statement. If it is question, identify whether it is a yes no question or a content question. If it is a content question, figure out where the question word started before movement. You can figure out where the question word started out by saying the echo question. You have seen what, or by answering the question and looking at where the answer goes. What have you seen? I have seen an alien. So let us do, because here we have to, in fourth step, we have to classify the clause, right? Classify the clause. So here we will classify. Okay. For each clause, identify whether it is question or a statement. Because in this clause, I have this is statement, right? But sometime there is question. So that is not statement. That is question. That is question. However, in both the question, this is called yes no question. This is yes no question, because this is started with have, and this is content question or descriptive question. Content question. Okay. So for each clause, identify whether it is question or statement. So we have identified. Now, if it is question, identify whether it is yes no question or a content question. We have find out. We have found out. Now, if it is a content question, figure out where the question was started before movement. So if it is a content question, then we have to figure out that's a where the question word started before movement. So what's the question word? Where? What? You can figure out where the question word started out by saying the echo question. You have seen what? Or by answering the question and looking at where the answer goes. What have you seen? I have seen an alien, right? So this way you can find out, classify each clause, right? So these the here is the answer. I have a green spaceship. That's a statement, right? No question. Number two, I think that aliens exist. The main clause is a statement. That's a main clause. So main clause is a statement, right? Main clause is a statement. That is the statement. That's a main clause. And the embedded object clause is a statement. So what's a and the embedded object clause is a statement. That is, this is embedded, this is dependent on this clause. That is why embedded, this whole group of word is embedded clause, is the object of this sentence, or in other words, this sentence can be analyze this way: subject, then verb, then this whole part is object. The same they are saying that the embedded object clause, this is object clause, is a statement. That is also a statement. Both the clauses are statement. Now, third, if we see C, the aliens exist. So the main clause is a statement up to here. That aliens exist is a statement. And the embedded subject clause is a statement. Embedded subject clause, this is embedded subject clause. Again, we can analyze the sentence this way. How? The alien exists. That should be in one breath, right? So that's the subject. The alien exists. That aliens exists. Surprise is the verb. Whom, right? So that's a this part subjector is the object. Subject verb object this way. So that is also uh, the statement. So both the clause, this clause, that aliens exist, and this clause, surprise my sister, both are statement. Okay. Now next, you have seen an alien with a telescope. Simple. Seen is the main verb, right? And you is the subject, right? And alien is the object, and sentence ends with full stop, and that is why this statement. Now, have you seen an alien? This is question. Of course, this is question, but this is yes no question because which is started with the helping verb, and the question which is framed with the helping verb is called yes no question. For example, are you coming with me? That's a yes no question, because in this question you just have to say yes or no. If I say, did you inform them? You say yes, right? If I say that, is this your room? You say yes. So these are called yes no question. Okay. And but next F question, F, that is what have you seen? This is content question, because you can't say yes, you can't say no, you have to describe. So the WH phrase started in the object position. So that's a, because here you'll get object. What have you seen? I have seen aliens, right? So that WH phrase started in object position. So that is WH question or content question. Okay. Now next one, step 5. So till now, from step by step, from first step, what did we do? From first step we have identify main verb, right? That's a main verb. Then in second step we have identify the subject of the each verb, right? So here we have found the subject of the main verb. Then in third step we have identified the clauses, and then fourth step classify each clause, right? Dependent or independent. Now moving to fifth one, that is identify the modifiers. Very important part, modifiers, right? So here in fifth step we have to identify the modifiers. Identify the modifiers such as adjectives, right? And prepositional phrases. Important. Adjectives and prepositional phrases are modifiers. So figure out what they modify. Watch for ambiguity. Maybe it is possible that they can attach to more than one thing. In our set of six sentences, there are two modifiers, green in the A sentence and with a telescope in the D sentence. Green modifies spaceship, but with a telescope is ambiguous. It can modify an alien or scene. You can use constituency tests to see the two different meanings. For example, in sentence 5, the two different meanings are illustrated with the movement test. Okay. So here modifiers. What are the modifiers? Such as adjectives or prepositional phrases. Generally, these are the modifiers in the sentence, right? So these are the modifiers in the sentence. How to figure out? Figure out what they modify. Watch for ambiguity. Sometimes sentence may be ambiguous. Maybe it is possible that they can attach to more than one thing. So it is possible that they can attach to more than one thing, right? So we have to find out in our set of six sentences what we are taking. We are being like we are discussing. So there are two modifiers. Green in the sentence A with a telescope in sentence D. So first, it is an alien with a telescope that you have seen. So in sentence A, it is here what they are saying that in our set of six sentences, there are two modifiers, green in sentence A. We have to go back, green in sentence A. That is green. This is the modifier or adjective which is used for spaceship. Right? So this is adjective. Adjective. Okay? Because these six sentences we are discussing. है ना? So the same he is talking about. Then figure out. Oh, sorry. This is green in the sentence A. And so this is green we have seen. Then with a telescope in the sentence D, right? So that is green modifies spaceship, but with a telescope is ambiguous because it can modify an alien or scene. So here we have to go back and here with a okay, yeah, that is used here. It is an alien with a telescope that you have seen. So alien is using telescope or you have seen alien through the telescope, not clear. The same he's talking about. He's saying that with a green with a telescope is ambiguous, it can modify an alien or scene. Means alien who is having telescope? You have seen aliens through telescope or you have seen aliens, they are using telescope. In their hand telescope is there, not clear. And you can use constituency test to see the two different meanings. For example, in sentence 5, the two different meanings are illustrated with the movement is. It is an alien with telescope, right? So that is an alien who is having telescope, alien that you have seen. In B, it is an alien that you have seen with a telescope. Means alien versus you. So telescope, maybe telescope, right? Telescope maybe with alien or maybe with you. So there are two interpretations of the sentence. You can make tree diagram this way, an alien with telescope here. Telescope is in alien's head, hands, and here it is an alien that you have seen with telescope. Here you have changed the with the telescope position. So meaning is change, right? That is you are using telescope. So in fifth A, an alien with telescope is a constituent, right? We have seen. This means that with a telescope modifies alien, right? So these with a telescope which have changed the image of alien because they are using and is sister to alien according to the principle of modification, right? This constituency structure derives the meaning that the alien has the telescope. So in fifth A, that is sister to alien, right? So that is it is an alien with telescope that you have seen, right? So that modifies and the constituency structure derives the meaning that the alien has the telescope. Conclusion is that in first sentence the alien has the telescope. Here in this sentence the alien has the telescope. But in fifth B, an alien is a constituent that does not include with a telescope, but this with a telescope position change in 5b. This means that with a telescope does not modify alien, instead it modifies the verb and is sister to the verb. This constituency structure derives the meaning that the telescope was used for the act of seeing. Means telescope is in your hand, right? Here it is the alien that you have seen. So you have seen with the telescope. Here with the telescope soon after the alien. Here with a telescope because you have used telescope to see the aliens. This is clear, two interpretation. Now, so in fifth step, what we have identified the modifiers, right? Now moving to sixth step. In sixth step, we have to draw the spine of the clause. This is spine, right? Of the clause, spine in of the clause. So start at the top of the page with an S. S is the sub sentence. Draw, this is the S. Draw 2 to 4 branches down from the S or sentence, one for the subject, one each for the auxiliary or negative negation. if they are there, and one for VP. Now draw one or two branches down from the VP, one for V head and second V is verb, and second one for the object if there is an object. How? We'll see. Next step, you have to draw the spine. So start at the top of the page with an S. Draw two to four branches down from S, one for subject and one each for the auxiliary or negation if there are there. So first of all, you have to write sentence at the top of the page and draw two to four branches, maybe four, right? Branches down from the S, one for the subject, right? That's the subject or noun phrase, and one each for the auxiliary or negation if they are there, and one for VP, that's a VP. Okay, now draw one or two branches down from the VP, one for V and the second one for the object if there is an object. How? We'll see. This is the spine, right? For declarative main verb clause. Declarative main verb clause is what? Because this is simple sentence, suppose, and main clause is this one. So subject, then verb, and then noun phrase. That's a first step. When we'll do, you'll be able to understand. If it is a question, also put a CP on top. That's a clause phrase on top of the TP, right? Tense phrase. So what is the spine is here clause phrase, what WH phrase, then clause, then sentence, and then NP, VP, and other. This way, right? If there is an embedded clause or subordinate clause or dependent clause, anything can be spoken. So, is in your sentence, check again if it is a subject clause or an object clause. If it is a subject clause, embedded clause I'm talking about, put it under the far left branch under the subject instead of a subject NP. If it is an object clause, put it under the right branch under VP instead of an object. Draw the spine of the embedded clause starting at CP or clause phrase with the C head of the left as either that or null. Under the CP, draw an sentence S that contains an MP and VP just like you did with the main clause. So here what to do with embedded clause? For embedded clause, check again if it is subject clause or object clause. So first of all, for embedded clause we have to find out either that embedded clause is used as subject clause or object clause, right? If it is subject clause, put it under the far left branch under the subject. So subject clause means under the sentence. Instead of a subject NP, right? You have to put the embedded clause. If it is an object clause, put it under the right branch under VP, right? Of course, that is that is a part of object clause, sentence, verb, and object. So if it is the subject clause, so it will be uh, place in the subject, and if it is object clause it will be placed means left hand side and right hand side. This is left hand side and this is a right hand side, so you can understand this way also. That's a, if it is subject clause, so you should place subject clause is, that's a subject clause, right, this way. And if it is object clause, so that should be placed here after the verb. Important part of any sentence is verb. That's an important part. Okay, so the same he is talking about. That's instead of object. Now draw the spine of the embedded clause starting at CP. That's a clause phrase with the C head, clause head, right? That's a clause phrase and clause head on the left as either that or null. Under the CP, draw an S because that is also subject, a sentence, and then start what did we do earlier, this way. How? That's a sentence clause, right? So that is clause. Suppose in a sentence there is a one part which is clause phrase. So first you have to find out the clause and then sentence, then this part, this way. The spine for the sentence with embedded subject clause. Here, this is embedded subject clause. What? Here again we have to see this is embedded subject clause, right? So that is subject clauses. This is a clause phrase. So that's a subject clause, embedded subject clause, right? So when we do the practical sentences, then you'll be able to understand. Sentence, right? Subject noun phrase, VP, verb, and then suppose there is a clause, objective, which is acted as object. So then verb phrase, and then in verb phrase, you have to write clause phrase, then you have to drop the clause, and then this way you have to analyze. Okay, so the spine for the sentence with an embedded object clause. Suppose embedded object clause is there, so then you have to write this way, embedded object clause. The object clause means this clause position will be after the verb, that's a this side, this is object clause after subject verb, and this is object, right? And subject clause, that's a, suppose subject clause, embedded subject clause means that position will be this side. So you just have to understand this is the main verb, and then in the main verb, right hand side, right hand side is the subject, this is the subject clause, and left hand side, this after verb, left hand side of the verb, that's the objective clause. Okay, now step 7, fill in the subjects, objects, and modifiers. Subjects, objects, and modifiers. So draw the subject and object, right? Subject and object. First of all, we have to draw the subject and object, then noun phrases, because number of noun phrases may be in a sentence. In the subject and object position, Noun phrases keep verb in the middle. Here noun phrases, here noun phrases, right? So you have to be very much clear that how many noun phrases are coming and which side, left hand side or right hand side of the verb. So this way you have to give the position of noun phrases. If there are no modifiers, an MP will usually be two branches. Noun phrase have two branches, one for determiner and one for head noun, right? If there are modifiers, add as many extra branches as you need. So what they are saying that draw subject and object and piece in the subject and object positions. If there are no modifiers, and noun phrase will usually be two branches, one for determiner and one for head noun. If there are modifiers, add as many extra branches. Very good. How? We'll see. This is the sentence. Sentence is what? I have, this is the sentence. I have a green spaceship, right? So that's a NPI, right? Up now, have is helping verb. So that's a verb phrase. You drop have, right? Then a green spaceship is the noun phrase. So that's a noun phrase, determiner, and adjective which qualifies noun. So adjective, and this is noun phrase. Noun. That's a adjective phrase and that's a noun phrase. This way, this sentence is analyzed. Now, I think that aliens exist. How? I I is noun phrase. Think is verb phrase, right? So think, then that aliens exist. That alien exists. This is the clause phrase, and acts as object, and that is why clause phrase here. Clause is, that's a that, then again sentence is there. Alien exists. Alien is subject, exists is verb, and subject plus verb combination is known as a sentence, and that is why here this sentence will be analyzed this way. Noun phrase, single word is also called phrase, noun phrase and verb phrase. So very informative and very good example. Okay. Now next one is tree diagram of the aliens exist, surprise my sister. The alien exists, surprise my sister. Sentence is the alien exists. That's why they have written sentence. Okay. But in sentence, the alien exists. Right? That is clause. The aliens, that, sorry, right from beginning, I'm the alien. That aliens. That is clause phrase. Which clause? Subject clause phrase, and that's why which is mentioned here. That aliens exist. So that is complement, or that is clause. Then again subject verb combination is called sentence. So that is aliens, that's noun phrase, exists verb phrase. So that is analyzed this way, that alien exists. This part is this one. Now surprised my sister. Surprise is verb, right? And my sister, that's a simple. That you can do it. Surprise verb and noun phrases. My sister, determiner, possessive pronoun. Okay. So if there are any modifiers for the verb, such as a prepositional phrase or an adverb, are called modifiers, right? Prepositional phrase or adverb. Add branches to the VP. So we have to add branches to the verb phrase as needed. In English, adverbs can go to the left or right of the verb head. So adverb can be added anywhere. Either this is the main verb here or sometime here. But PPs means prepositional phrase always go to the right. Very important, informative. But prepositional phrases always go or place after the verb. Here prepositional phrases always after the left hand side, right? Go to the right, sorry, this is, sorry, I'm extremely sorry, right hand side. This is left hand side and this is right hand side. So prepositional phrase always go to the right hand side, right? So this is very important, please take care. Remember again to watch out for ambiguity. Watch out specially for constituents at the end of the sentence. If you see ambiguity, right, in a sentence, so watch out especially for constituents at the end of the sentence. They might attach to the VP or they might attach to the object. Ambiguity we have seen with the telescope, right? So watch, if you see the ambiguity, so watch out especially for constituents at the end of the sentence. They might attach to the VP or they might attach to the object, right? If there are two clauses, they might attach to either the main clause, what ambiguous, like constituent modifiers. So I'm repeating, to watch out ambiguity, then watch out specially for constituents at the end of the sentence. They might attach what ambiguous part, right? They might attach to the VP or they might attach to the object. And if there are two clauses, they might also attach to either the main clause or the embedded clause. Use your constituency test to figure out it. Means we have to find out the ambiguities, we have to interpret first of all, and then after interpretation we should draw the diagram. This is the conclusion. Okay, suppose sentence, this is the sentence. What, let me read out this one. You have seen an alien with a telescope, where with a telescope modifies the verb seen. The this structure means that you use the telescope to see the aliens. So here interpretation you have taken out, and then accordingly tree diagram should be drafted. Here you have seen an alien with a telescope, right? So you use telescope to see the alien. This is the interpretation for such sentence. So that it will be analyzed this way. Sentence, right? Sentences, you have, so what's the sentence? Sentence first you. So then why you? Because that is noun phrase. Because from here verb auxiliaries start, right? So that's have. Then have is a separate branch directly attached with the sentence. Then verb phrase seen. So that's a verb, right? An alien. So that's a an alien is a noun phrase. And from the same branch, verb phrase, prepositional phrase. Here you have to write a class with a telescope. So that's a prepositional phrase. We have just now we have read that prepositional phrase generally placed after the right hand side of the verb. So that is with a telescope. This way, this sentence should be analyzed. But suppose another interpretation. The diagram, you have seen an alien with a telescope, where with a telescope modifies alien, not you. The structure means that alien has a telescope. So that analysis will be changed. Here, you have seen. That's a common. You have seen, right? So you have, okay. Then seen. Here, you have then seen, right? So here you have seen. Here you have seen, right? An alien. So that's a seen is verb is dropped. Then again an alien is noun phrase. And in this noun phrase prepositional phrase is attached. So you have seen an alien, right, with a telescope. So that's a sentence analysis will be changed. So do comparative study, then only I cannot do here. But then when you do practice, so both the uh, interpretations should be written and then do, and you will be able to do it, right? I have to skip because I can't do here, right? Now, if one of the noun phrases or prepositional phrases is particularly complex, like in sentence 6, break it down into smaller pieces and do one piece at a time. The outlandish lady with a purple purse from Walmart on her elegant arm. Suppose such sentence come, right? So for such sentence what we'll do, if one of the noun phrases or prepositional phrases particularly complex, so such sentence comes. So what, this is a complex sentence like sentence 6, right? So break it down into smaller pieces and do one piece at a time. Okay, how? First, identify the head of the noun phrase. So, for such sentence, first we have to do head of the noun phrase. So, first we have to find out the noun phrase. So, as a whole, identifying a lady, outlandish lady, that's the head of the noun. A purse or an arm. So, that's a with a purse, purple purse, right? So, that's a purse. Now confusion. A purse or an arm. That is arm. It is identifying a lady. So lady is the head of the phrase. That's the head of the phrase. Which adjectives and prepositional phrases modify lady? The adjective outlandish, right? This is the adjective. And the prepositional phrase with a purple purse. With a purple purse is a prepositional phrase. From Walmart on her elegant arm, right? So here both modify the lady. We can imagine lady with a purple, outlandish lady with a purple purse in her arm. So we can draw an NP with four branches, right? Noun phrase with four branches, one for determiner, the one determiner, the the determiner is the one for the adjective outlandish, right? And one for head noun and one for prepositional phrase, that long prepositional phrase. Next, you can repeat this step with the prepositional phrase. The prepositional phrase with purple purse, from Walmart, on her elegant arm, begins with the preposition, then with and contains prepositional with, na, that is with, and contains an noun phrase headed by purse. So under the PP you can draw the two lines, and one for preposition with, and one for the noun, long noun phrase. Next, ask what modifies purse. Keep repeating these steps until you have identified all the constituents and what each one modifies. Example, that's a noun phrase, right? Noun phrase, and main one branch, the determiner, adjective outlandish, noun lady. Now prepositional phrase, that is with, drop, with. Then with the prepositional phrase, one big noun phrase is attached, that is the purple purse. So the purple purse, right? Then again prepositional phrase, that's a from Walmart. Walmart, sorry. Then on her, so on is preposition. So again prepositional phrase, her elegant arm, that is her elegant arm is noun phrase. So this is the biggest one, but yeah, very good. Very well they have explained. All right. Now, step 8. If it is a question, add the movement. Important. If it is a question, add the movement. How? If there is subject auxiliary inversion, put angle brackets. So that is subject auxiliary inversion. For this, put angle brackets around the auxiliary under S or subject, and rewrite the auxiliary under the C head, clause head, then draw an arrow from the auxiliary under 5. How? CP. This is a very advanced age, but yeah, that's a, have you seen an alien? So that's a clause phrase. have, right? That's a clause, right? Now sentence is attached. You seen, so you is noun phrase, seen is auxiliary, because this have is shifted for question, shifted here. So that's auxiliary. Then seen verb phrase, and that is easy. So this is little bit tough and advanced age, but then the diagram, have you seen this way? We can read it again. That if there is subject auxiliary inversion, means auxiliary goes to the subject and subject comes in uh, instead of auxiliary, put angle brackets around the auxiliary. This is angle bracket. Okay, so they have kept angle bracket, right? This is called angle bracket. Okay, so angle bracket around, so the same they have they suggested angle bracket around the auxiliary under S and rewrite the auxiliary. Two times we have under the C head, then draw the arrow from the auxiliary. Okay, so that they are talking the same. The two times we have written auxiliary have and have, but then this have has gone to here. We have to indicate through this arrow. Interesting. Now next is if there is WH movement, WH question. So what to do? Put the WH phrase where it started out in the sentence as you determine in step 4 with angle brackets around it, the same, right? And then add an extra branch to the left under the clause phrase, rewrite the label of WH phrase and draw the internal structure of the WH phrase underneath. Then draw an arrow from where WH phrase started. Okay. How? That's a sentences. What have you seen, right? So that's what have you seen. This is the sentence, right? So WH movement which will be moved. So that's a clause phrase. Here noun phrase because WH means answer and answer is noun. So that's a noun phrase. Then clause is have you, right? Question is what have you? So that's a clause. And then sentence is subject verb object. So have you seen? Sentence is actually you have seen. So that is again you have to write in the angle bracket. Auxiliary should be mentioned in angle bracket. You have seen, and then the noun phrase. And this way, noun phrase, why? Because what means answer is going to be. So that noun phrase you have mentioned. So that is movement, and that have is already used. So this way, this angle shows that this C is that have is already used here, but the place should be here. The place should be here. Something like this. So this is another type of sentence. Now double check your answer. Ninth step. Here are something you should check. Does every phrase have a head? Does every head except determiner have a phrase? Means every phrase have a head or every head have a phrase. If you read the ends of the branches from the left to right, do all the words come out in the right order? So if you read the end of the branches from left to right, from left to right, do all words come out in the right order? We have to check. Then do any branches cross? They should not. Branches should not be crossed. Are your subject clause in the subject position? Important. Subject clause in a subject position and your object clause in a object position. We have to check. Then are your subject under tense phrase, your object under verbal phrase? So which is very important. Subject means that is because it's a doer, na? So that's tense phrase. An object under the VP because object comes under after verb. This is the sequence repeating again and again. So here subject is doer, that's why it's a tense phrase. So subject under the tense phrase and objects under the verb phrase. So objects under the verb phrase. And your modifiers sister to what they modify. We have to find out. Modifiers. Are are all your words labeled for part of speech? Because ultimately we have to find out the part of speech. So it should be labeled properly, right? And is movement clearly indicated? What an arrow? Is it clear from your diagram where the movement started and where it ended? Which is important, where the movement is started and where it is ended. So sometime you will see tree with triangles in them. For example, there is a triangle in figure this one. So let us see what is this here. Right, sentence is what? Example of a tree and triangle. So this is the triangle with purple skin. You have seen an alien with purple skin. Sentence you, then auxiliary have, and then main verb seen with. Okay, so sometime. Triangles are a way to abbreviate the structure because abbreviate means concluded. Instead of drawing all the pieces of constituent, you can write the entire constituent underneath a triangle instead of branches. Okay. They are usually used in papers if part of structure is not relevant. In your homework and test, if you are asked to draw a tree, you use a triangle. You might not get full marks for the part of the tree inside the triangle check with the grading scheme for your course to see the triangles are permitted, how they will be graded. So that is something triangle. This that being said, if you are feeling very overwhelmed, you could use triangle and you may at least get part marks, or even better, you can use triangle in your refer Okay, that is something about triangle, right? So now for each clause, identify whether it is a statement or content question or yes no question. What did eat for dinner? So this is a clause. This clause is a statement, right? So here statement, and then here for two, second one, and this is a content question because start with WH, thus the content question. Now moving to next one. My baby sister spilled pasta sauce all over the floor. Simple sentence, statement, right? Content question. This clause is a okay. So they are giving options. You just read out and check the answer. So that is very lengthy but very good. mm, Very good question. So here I tell you for one two. What did you eat for dinner? That's a question, content question, right? That's a content question. So this is the clause is a content question. This way you find out. So they have given you homework. Here I am winding up. Video is lengthy but very useful video. Thank you so much. God bless you.